All right. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci. And today I got on special guest, my guy.
He said it. I love it.
Giovanni Moceri. Giovanni, how are we? How are we doing?
Oh, we're great, man. Just graduated from Oakland University.
Yes, sir.
Staying in the sports game here, and I'm enjoying it right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I saw your Instagram post of you walking and all those pictures. You were looking nice, man.
Thank you, my friend.
Looking nice. And today we're talking about some NFL draft stuff. NFL draft reaction. Okay, draft was on Thursday. Giovanni and I were both there. It was in Detroit.
We ran into each other for a second.
We ran into each other. It was crazy. It was flat out crazy. So I'm super excited to talk about this. Let's first talk about the experience.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think in my life as a sports fan I ever thought I'd be going to the draft.
Right.
You know, I was like, okay, this is a great thing to watch on TV. And I saw I was in Detroit, and I was like, I don't know if I'll go. Like let's see,
Right.
let's see. And then, Golke was talking to me and really wanted to go, and I was like, all right, I'll go with you. See how it goes. So, talk to me about your experience first, and maybe we'll share a couple stories and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so when we went, it was lucky because my graduation ceremony was like Friday afternoon. So I was going to be like Thursday night, we were able to actually go. So me and my brothers were getting excited. Like we're all coming back from school. If not now, then soon.
Yeah.
So it was a chance to kind of like get the summer started in that way.
Yeah.
And picked up, we got the parking spot taken care of. My brother is he's got his ways to get that going downtown.
Nice.
So we're like, okay, this lines up pretty good. We end up leaving the house at 3:00 and get there around like 4 o'clock ish.
Okay.
And it was a smooth drive down. We're like, this is surprisingly smooth getting down there. We got to our parking spot pretty quick, and we're 3 hours early. We thought we would be able to get in because we filled out we downloaded the app, we got our QR code, but it never ended up getting scanned. We just got metal detectored on our way through the different zones there.
Yeah.
Didn't quite know where we were going, didn't quite know where the heck is the stage? I see all this
It
stuff
wasn't
here.
labeled well.
No, it's not labeled. There's no arrows.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 times we got the gate closed on us saying this area is now closed.
Jeez.
And that's it. They didn't say go this way. They didn't say get lost. They didn't even flip you off to tell you where to go. It was just, it got to a point where we were realizing like, there is too many people here.
Yeah.
We're getting screwed here. And it's nobody's fault, but you got 300,000 people on day one.
Crazy.
And we started to figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Again, we had like the guillotine closed on us like 2 times, and we're understandably frustrated, but like, it is what it is. Found a place to eat, found a spot outside the draft zone to end up watching it, and had our fun with it as well. But like overall, man, it's just like big crowds of people. As big of a personality as I am, it's too many people, man. I could have watched that at home.
Yeah,
I won't lie.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was really cool. It was really cool. And it was so funny that we saw each other.
Yeah, out of all those people that we happen to walk by, I end up seeing a familiar face, a few of them.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we walked past each other, and I remembered, like, me, Luke, and Jack ended up going. And we got there, and we got in to start. So we got to see, like, the theater and, like, everything going on and stuff. And we were like, man, this is really well set up. You know, like the signage was great and all of that inside the draft. Like it was great. And there wasn't that many people there at the time. And you see like the game day crew in the back and all that. And I was just like, man, like this is really cool. And it was cool to be able to walk around Detroit. Because I've never really done that.
That one was awesome.
Yeah.
Especially the weather just happened to be perfect that day, as Goodell ordered. And but I mean, there was no better, like as negative as my personal experience was, the fact that it was such a nice day, and it was easy walking. They closed off the right spots to make sure the traffic wasn't going through. But like, what a fantastic display for the city.
Yes.
To the rest of the nation.
So true.
And there were so many like videos and like little short interviews of people on the street aren't from Detroit, but it's just such a good impression.
Yes.
Which is why like I can back away from my experience and say like it was awesome that it was in Detroit, that it went so well, and so many people got to see it firsthand.
Yeah,
in one way or another.
I mean, so many people got to see it firsthand. Like right after, like, I mean, we checked it out. We were doing everything, and we were like, all right, we could walk out of here and go get some food, right?
Yeah.
So we walked out, got some food, and we asked the people. We were like, can we re-enter if we leave? And they were like, yeah, no, like that would be fine. Nobody knew how many people were coming.
Dude, like
It was insane.
You had like the expected value of it still being huge, but like you can't fathom that many bodies in one space.
Yeah, no, I mean it was absolutely ridiculous. Like I remember we were waiting at a food place for like 20 minutes, and we were like, all right, this isn't worth it. Let's go to another place. Went to another place, waited 20 minutes, and still didn't get our food. So we're just like, all right, not worth it. Let's go back.
Right.
And then when we tried to get back, they're shutting down all the entrances
because they filled up.
Yeah, because
2
it was so
hours
full.
before the event, they filled up.
It was flat out insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. And I mean, it was really cool that I was down there and stuff, but like I'm just like you. Like if there's that many people, it's just like it's not even worth it.
It's a logistical problem.
Exactly.
And that's the thing for me. My enjoyment, greatly comes from the logistics of it.
Yeah.
I'll eat anywhere as long as it's like it's not gonna bother people. It's not out of the way. It doesn't cost too much. Like the food will be fine as long as everything surrounding it, is working.
100%. And we just drove back and ended up watching it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I mean, great draft overall.
Yes.
Like I mean, absolutely crazy some of the picks, and we'll get into that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to have it in Detroit. Like, and it was cool to see it. Like I'm thankful that like I saw it like before the mob.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, and you at least got some sense of it. You got to smell the air.
Exactly. Like smell the air and see everything and be like, okay, like Detroit's putting on a show for this.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Which was flat out awesome. And the amount of people that was there, it ended up being 700,000 people, which is just amazing.
Over the weekend, it's almost 1 million people. I heard it was like 775,000 people. Like it was. The NFL is now figuring out how huge of a market Detroit is. And especially for a big event like this, where you're in the middle of a lot of cities in America, a lot of football cities within like a long day's driving, but like the NFL's figuring out like this is a spot. Yeah. Now that the team's good for once, and all these years, we've been here, just haven't had anything, no light to be shined on. So now everyone's gonna learn. Now everyone's learning.
100%. And
they found out.
I think the moment I realized that like how many people were coming was when Golke, me, and Luke are walking, and we're just walking the street, and you see like heads just turn when they see Golke, and they're like, "Is that Jack Golke?"
They see that jawline.
And then, I mean, I swear he got stopped to take pictures like 60 times. I mean, if I was Jack, I'd be like, all right, what are we doing here? Like, I'm getting sick of this. But Jack's a great guy. Took every picture. I mean, it was cool. It was really cool.
It was sweet. What was funny is like almost as soon as we got out of the parking lot, we're walking down and we hit Woodward, and we just happened to see, I'm like, we're stopped at a sidewalk, like, is that Campy? I saw Coach Campy walking down the street and not even recognize any of the people around him. I think he was just like, fans were just kind of walking with him. Dude was by himself, and we're like, hey, I'm like, hey, Coach, what's going on? My family is looking over like they saw a ghost. They're like, there's no way I'm seeing like Coach Campy after what happened. In the tournament. I see him more often. I try to be cool about it, but I'm like, holy crap, like how you doing? And we're like, how'd you get here? He goes, oh, I'm 2 blocks from here. My uncle's jaw was dragging on the sidewalk all the way down to the event. Like he was floored.
That's awesome.
It was sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it was just a really, really cool experience. And
Overall,
Detroit put on a show, man. And like that kind of switches us over to the Lions.
Yes.
Okay, so that is what we talk about mainly on the podcast. But I want to give Detroit the flowers because we're coming back, man. Detroit is flat out back. So Lions in the draft. Okay, we really stacked up on the corners. First round pick, we drafted Terran Arnold, who's flat out awesome from Alabama. I was so happy that we got him. And then we got Rackstraw, the cornerback from Missouri, which I thought was a great ad as well. And then also we have to add our fourth round pick, who's got a very similar name to you, Giovanni Manu.
That's right. And it's spelled with 2 N's too. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's got a double N on it.
You love it. You love it. So, talk to me about your reaction to the Lions draft here, and were you happy with the picks that we were able to get?
I was absolutely happy with it. And what was nice about this draft is like a little less stress going into it. There was a lot less at stake. A lot less is going to be on those rookies. Maybe not so much with Arnold. Probably going to see a starting role pretty soon coming up next season. But I mean, two corners in the first 2 picks. You look around the team. That's where you need it the most, and you keep looking around, and it's like that's really the only thing you need. Big picture kind of way, and especially with the way the season ended, that's what you need. So it was a very simple matter of you got what you need, and you got some of the best at what you needed. And what was awesome is to just see the joy in the players being drafted by the Lions. It's no longer like, because even when I remember when Jameson Williams was drafted, it was kind of a surprise. We traded up for him. He looked upset. Just the look on his face. It didn't mean anything going on in his heart, but like, still around like 2 years ago, you had the sense that people didn't want to be drafted here.
That's true.
That's out the window now. That could not be farther from the truth. And, all the videos of like Arnold's like, I'm still in my hat. He's like, what I thought was a very strange video, like shirtless in bed with the hat on. I'm like pop a shirt on. But just to see the joy of being drafted to the Lions is awesome.
Yes.
And that it goes into like, the culture of the team. People like being there. They like playing for it, and they like busting their ass doing that. So it fits in perfectly for Arnold and as well as Rackshaw.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree completely. Like, there's a reason I'm wearing my Lions quarter zip right now.
I love it.
Like, I love it. I love what the team's doing. I love like everything going on with the Lions. And I talked about it all year on the podcast last year. The pass defense, right? I was like, we can't be a Super Bowl team if we have a thing that we're that bad at.
You can get close, and we've learned you can get close.
Yeah, we got close, but like it's clear that people with that big of a hole, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And I like that we're going after it. We also got Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Bucks, which was flat out huge. He's a great corner. I love him.
Yeah.
And we're stacking that corner position, and that's what you need to do. You need to have a lot of corners that can play any sort of coverage that you want. You need to have zone corners. You need to have man corners, and that's what we're stacking up on. So I really like what we're doing here. Arnold's awesome. I think he was the most valuable player on the Alabama defense last year. Like, he was their leader. He was there all the time. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, another guy that was really good on that Alabama.
Yeah. I was hearing more about him. I mean, maybe just the name, but I was hearing more about him.
He kind
of
fell a little bit. He ended up being early second. But I mean, everybody loved him. And if he was young enough or old enough to go last year, he probably would have been like mid 15s pick. But like what happened was Arnold just was better than him this year, and that turned Arnold into a better prospect than Kool-Aid. I love Kool-Aid, but Arnold was that guy. He was.
Definitely.
Him and Dallas Turner were those main guys on the defense where you were like, whoa, it was scary. I remember being a Michigan fan, like looking at the Alabama defense, and I was like, goodness gracious, we have to go against Turner and Arnold. Like,
right. I mean,
it's tough
because you're seeing 2 first round. I mean, it's typical for Alabama, but like I mean, from a Michigan fan, like you haven't been to the championship game before.
Yep.
You're going up against another big, SEC team on a little bit of a downward trend relative to what they do. But like, you're seeing 2 first round picks. And
exactly.
You're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
For a good reason, because they ended up being those picks.
Yeah. I mean, those guys are. That I really like Arnold there. And then looking at the Missouri corner Rackstraw, like Missouri had a very solid defense throughout the whole year. It was what carried them to be a top 25 team throughout the year. And again, it's about the depth. It really is at corner, and having those corners that are, some of them really fast, some of them, like a little slower. It's huge. It's huge. And some of them that are better at zone defense, some of them that are better at man defense. If you have that versatility at the corner position, it's huge.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn's going to make it work for you. And that's the thing, because like I think the whole story with Aaron Glenn's defense has been like he can make it work, but it's just the ingredients aren't like the best, especially in the secondary, but he's still able to make it work. Like if we didn't have pass rush, he sends the safety on a blitz a couple of times. So when you give him players that can do multiple things, that just opens up opens up the playbook, opens up the kitchen for him to be able to do what he's been doing for the past few years. Although people have been angry at times, I still think he's a fantastic coordinator.
Yeah. No, I mean that's completely fair, 100%. Question for you:
Yeah.
do you think now that the Lions have worked on the secondary, gotten a little better, do you think that the secondary will be better next year?
I think it will just because, I mean, for this sense, the volume of how much resources went into the secondary, because luckily that was one of our only holes. So
Yeah.
you got to imagine you have now like 4 new corners on the roster. And as well, we drafted like another safety from Utah as well. But like you put that much into the secondary, like it's got to be filled to some degree, I would
Yeah.
imagine. And yes, there's going to be some of the rookie mistakes that comes with, those 2 new guys coming in, but like you got a couple of free agent pickups, hopefully that can have that kind of leadership, and you have great safeties that help them out too. I
Yeah.
got to imagine that the defense has improved, but as well as like you look over to now the defensive line, adding DJ Reader,
Yep.
that in and of itself is going to be huge in helping that secondary as well. So it's going
Exactly.
to be an entire defensive improvement. Top 10, I don't know. And I'm not expecting it, and it doesn't have to be either.
Yeah.
I do think it will get a bit of a boost.
I like
For
it.
sure.
I like it. And as Lions fans, I think we all like that because the
Yeah.
defense was the one thing where we were like, meh,
But
you know.
but the thing, like against bad teams, it was lights out
It's true.
defense.
It's true.
Against all the NFC South, pretty much, it was insane. There was a point where like forgive me if I don't remember the Saints score, but like we held them to like 6 points.
Yeah.
Like the whole NFC South,
Yeah.
like we basically held to at least under 10 points. So our defense has the ability to do that, but against that higher competition, it can't stack up. You can't send the safeties on blitzes every time because of the rest of the secondary. So it's needed and it's appreciated.
For sure. All right. Well, we are going to react to the rest of the draft in a little bit. But first, we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back.
Hello, hello. This is Giovanni Moceri. You may have heard me a couple times on Jake's Takes. I am the sports media director of Oakland University's campus radio station, WXOU, and I've been the host for about 2 years of a weekly sports show called The Jomo Show, where we cover all of Oakland University athletics, including a weekly update on scores and highlights, as well as interviews with athletes or those otherwise involved in athletics. You can listen to The Jomo Show live on WXOU Thursdays at 6, or you can tune in to me afterwards on Spotify. It's The Jomo Show.
All right. Welcome back into the show. And what we're going to do for this NFL draft reaction is I'm going to just say a pick and we're going to bounce opinions off of each other and you'll go through it. So I wanted to start in the NFC North. Okay. Because we were just talking Lions and we got to talk about what the Bears and the Vikings did.
Yeah.
I don't really care about what the Packers did because the Packers...
Nothing nothing really flashy, genuinely.
Exactly. Nothing really flashy. And it's like, okay, we know what the Packers are gonna be next year.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to be a better version of what they were last year.
They're going to keep the young team going to get older.
Young team going to get older and it's just going uphill. So they're a little scary and it's fine. Like it is what it is. Lions are the favorites. If anybody says differently, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And where you say the word favorites, like specifically, it doesn't mean nothing can happen.
Exactly.
But we're favored.
I mean, but we are the favorites, 100%. So let's talk about Caleb. Okay, we're going to start with the Bears. They picked Caleb and Adunze. So Caleb at 1, Adunze at 9. Talk to me about your reaction to these two picks and kind of what you expect to see from the Bears next year.
Yeah. Part of me just be in this absolutely the phrase prospect fatigue is so real because there was a part of me that was thinking like, oh, what if they just don't pick Caleb? Like, because it's just been a foregone conclusion for like 2 years now that he was going to go number 1. And I still think it's hilarious that the Bears got back-to-back number 1 picks from the Panthers. That's still hilarious to me. But like, I was starting to think they wouldn't do it, but obviously when they pick it, it's like, okay, I mean, they have to. It's an obligation. It's out of their control. They got to do it, especially with Trubisky history.
Yeah.
Just go chalk, and it will be less on you for picking it and it not working out than you not picking it and like it going bad that way.
Yeah.
So they played it safe. They got Williams. He is like supremely talented, yes, but just because of the over analysis of him and the concentration of attention, you see more like nicks in his game. You see a little bit more sloppiness or bad habits, and maybe the team that he was around wasn't quite built to create a perfect NFL prospect. But that never happens. That doesn't exist. but just from seeing like more and more of like the bad side of it, I do have my doubts. His kind of like attitude and like more of like the stuff I can't even judge on, but like I'll say like his personality,
Yeah,
it's different.
it is.
It's not
It
what
is.
I would.
Yeah.
It's not my personal taste in what I think a football player is. But it's like that's so like minor and it's so like like dumb to even talk about. But like I can't help but have that feeling, and him wanting to own a part. Him wanting to like own part of the Bears, like that's insane.
Yeah.
It's I guess a little bit of a very high, understandably high ego that gives me a little bit of hesitation. But overall, it's like you have to do it. You have to pick him, and he's going to be better than I would say, better, but also very different than what Justin Fields was. I was honestly, if they didn't have the number one pick, I would have been surprised if they moved on from him still, because I was starting to get very scared of Justin Fields because of just like that insane running ability.
Okay.
I mean, the passing is what it is, but like if they started to like make their offense like specifically tailored to him getting those long runs and runs in space,
Yeah.
I thought they would have been fine. But they had the number one pick. You had to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't blame them for that. But like it was just a very awkward situation for them. But overall, putting a bow on it, they had to do it, and they're going to be better for it.
Yeah. I mean, I've always found the take of like being a little scared of Fields like interesting, because I think Fields is very, very good. Like he's a solid quarterback.
Yeah.
And his running is just insane. It is. But the thing with Fields is like, and at least this is like my opinion on quarterbacks in general when
Sure.
they're runners, is like I'm not as afraid of that because it leads to more injuries. And that's why, like,
yeah.
for someone like Anthony Richardson or Jalen Daniels, those two prospects as a whole, like I was a little lower on them because it's like, oh, did you see the hits Daniel took in his freshman year? Like they're horrible hits. And it's like, geez, like if you're taking this kind of hits, especially with the offensive line he'll have the Commanders, that's going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
And the hits Justin Fields took last year, like some of those are insane. And the fact that he was able to get out like alive, it speaks to his character, and it speaks to like how solid of an NFL quarterback is. I agree with you 100% that he has to, like, if you have the number one pick, you have to pick Caleb because he's that generational talent, 100%. And you can't like stick with a guy like Fields that's a solid quarterback, right? But the thing is with that is like, even if I had like number 2 and I'm looking at a guy like Drake May that I love,
and especially for this draft class,
exactly.
like you go down, you could go like lower than 1, and my point would still hold true. At least what I'm trying to say.
I mean, for
true,
me, like I would pick May over the Fields, and that's just me being a little lower on Fields than maybe like the average. And a lot of people like those running quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it just scares me. It just does.
When it comes to like valuing, like, okay, like I want this pick to last this long.
Yeah.
Then you're totally right on that. But like just for the sake of like they already had him.
Yeah.
And they could have continued, especially because like with him and DJ Moore, like the games that at least they played against the Lions, like you saw like how hot that fire can burn. Get however long it might burn for. Not the point, but like that could get really hot. But you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. And they also loaded up on wide receiver in the same draft as well.
100%. With Caleb and Adunze, like they're stacked now. They're flat out stacked.
Yeah.
They got Caleb, you got Keaton Allen, you got Adunze, and you got DJ Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a stacked crew right there. But you also got a very below average O-line.
That's the big thing. Like you have the decorations, but you don't get the foundation.
Yep.
And that's something that like it doesn't well, of course it scares me because of the peaks of that of that ceiling that creates, but the floor is not as doesn't raise as much because of that O-line.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially like if you're looking to like rebuild a team and really get that long-term success, the Lions are a great example of that because when Brad Holmes and Campbell came in, still a solid O-line when they came in, but like that thing became elite, and thus everything was built
became
around
a machine.
Yeah, and you're seeing that like people talk about it as if it's like a new thing, like you build from the inside out. That's becoming abundantly clear that is the way to do it. So
It's how great teams are built.
Yeah. So to see like the excuse me, the quarterback, the 3 receivers, they got DeAndre Swift as well. It's like, that's great, but are they going to be able to get the ball consistently?
Yep.
You know, are they going to be able to get plays on schedule? Are they going to be able to have control over their own destiny late in the game? That's where it comes in.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, and I think the perfect example of a team that like actually did a great job of this before you saw it like consistently was the Colts.
Yeah.
They built their O-line and then they brought in Andrew Luck and was like, hey, here's the keys. Let's go win some games. And they were a constant playoff team.
Yeah.
You know, it really annoyed me because my brother was the biggest Andrew Luck fan you will ever see and absolutely love that team. And they were amazing.
Yeah.
They were awesome every year, just going at it. And we're an elite AFC powerhouse. And like, that's a team that the Lions could be. They just need to try to take the next step now.
Right.
You know? And that's what we talked about earlier. And with the Bears here, it's just like they don't have that foundation yet. But like I want to talk about like Roman Dunze a little bit and just how talented this guy is. He's
scary.
Unbelievable, man.
He's scary.
Like, I'm really excited to see that fit with him.
Yeah.
And like now he just doesn't have to be that number one guy of the Bears.
That's the thing. Just like you almost forget how good DJ Moore is.
Exactly.
The dude's a freak, and it's not like Megatron size or high pointing the ball. The dude is tricky and he's slick. And he's smooth with it too. And it's just as effective. And it goes under the radar because one is because he was on the Panthers and then now the Bears.
Yeah.
Not gonna get a lot of wide receiver attention, but like, dude, they're good. Like he's good. And like you were mentioning, it doesn't have to be the number one piece. That's almost scarier when you have a high end rookie that can ease into it a little bit. He's in a good spot at least.
No,
the Dunze himself in a good spot.
That's so true. And Caleb's like got the weapons that he wants. Now it's going to be about the processing for him.
Yeah.
You know, like how quick can you process now? And with rookie quarterbacks, it takes some time. And the thing Aaron and I talked about a lot on the preview is like with all these rookie quarterbacks, no one can expect them to be CJ Stroud. Because CJ Stroud...
It's impossible.
Exactly. Like what we saw from CJ Stroud has never been done by a rookie quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. So even if Caleb is the best prospect we've ever seen, he shouldn't have those expectations.
Yeah.
He just shouldn't. Like the Bears shouldn't be a playoff team next year, even though they won 7 games and you're putting the best prospect ever on their team. They shouldn't be a playoff team. They shouldn't even win the 7 games that you're telling them to win. You know, like this is a rookie quarterback. They got to give him time.
You got to get weaker to get stronger in that sense. Yeah. And CJ Stroud is impossible to replicate. And even that, like we've seen, you know, the best prospect we've ever seen. We've seen them come through the NFL and it doesn't always work out.
Yep.
Quarterbacks are a low percentage hit rate when it comes to drafting them. So it's just a matter of like you have a great chance, but it might be within like a 5% chance. Like, it's all like relative in terms of that. So I agree with you. It's going to take some growing pains, especially for a quarterback that's like, didn't come in through the best system. We'll say.
Yes. And speaking of quarterbacks and speaking of kind of growing pains, and I feel like we should expect that from JJ McCarthy in Minnesota.
Yes.
And so talk to me about like first what you thought of Minnesota picking him, and then just what you think of McCarthy and how the fit will happen.
He's a mystery, and just because of in that sense, if you're going to be a high pick like that, the burden of proof is on the quarterback to be able to show that you can do things. And has he shown it? Yeah, but has he shown it all the time? Has he shown it consistently in high volume against some of the best competition? Not so much. But you know that the talent is there. So it's being at the 10th pick in a class where you knew that like quarterbacks are going to be running, deservingly so or not, just because of necessity.
Yeah.
So you're taking a bit of a gamble with it. And, the big smile and the meditation stuff, I don't care about that. That stuff's window dressing. That's media stuff as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Like, oh, he takes an ice bath every day. And like, I got sick of all that kind of storyline stuff, but we'll talk about Penix a little bit, but like, it's almost an injustice that JJ gets to go into such a QB friendly spot in Minnesota with a loaded wide receiver room and an offensive head coach that you know is going to get the best out of him. He gets to have that situation, and then Penix gets to go into what he's got. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but he is set up for success because you got one of the best in the league, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
One of the best young receivers in the league, Jordan Addison.
Yep.
One of the best receiving tight ends in the league, TJ Hawkinson. He's set up to be very good, and it's not going to be, hey, do everything, run the ball, throw the ball. He doesn't have to do everything, and he's got a coach that can help him out.
Yes. No, I mean, I agree with you 100%. He's got the weapons. He's got everything that I've ever wanted him to have at Michigan. It's just the truth. But and I've said this about like how I view McCarthy as a prospect. I think he's just going to be a solid quarterback in the NFL. Like I don't see any superstar potential. Like yes, he can move. He's got the mobility. I think that's just what you're going to see from average quarterbacks now. They got that mobility. They can do everything and stuff like that.
It's got to come standard now.
I feel like he could be Kirk Cousins, like what Kirk Cousins did.
Yeah.
I feel like he could be that 100%. But what I'm thinking with JJ is that's not going to happen right away. Like he needs time to figure stuff out with coverages, with moving pieces. What I wanted Michigan to do with him forever was I wanted him to pass more, way more. I wanted them to throw him in the fire and be like, get us out of here. Because that only happened to him once, and it was the TCU game, and everybody blamed him for the loss because he threw 2 pick sixes. But guess what? That nobody talks about. He had 400 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. And he was the only reason that Michigan was even in the game.
Right.
And nobody talks about that because he threw 2 pick sixes. Well, he's never put in that situation. Yeah. And that's what I was so worried about with like the championship this year and all that. I was just like, what if he gets put in that situation again? He's never put in that spot. And that's what I'm excited about with the Vikings because I feel like they're going to throw him in and be like, figure this out. And I think it's going to be tough for him to start because you're seeing the defense so much quicker.
Oh, yeah.
It's so much quicker. And that's what I was talking about with Caleb. Like, we can't expect much from him. I'm not expecting much from JJ because it's going to be way faster than what he's ever seen. And he wasn't even given a crazy amount of opportunity in, like, the speed that would be a little slower in college football.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and what I told Aaron was, like, I feel like it could be one of the worst rookie seasons we've ever seen.
It could be really bad.
So what I'm hoping is that it doesn't shake his confidence, and with the guy that we see and like everybody like hyping up his personality, I think that personality is real, and I think he's gonna move on, get a lot better, and become a very solid quarterback, maybe even a top 10, top 5 guy. But I just never don't see him being like the guy.
Right. And it just like from you from the way you described it is like, no, he's never been put in that situation before. But it's like if you're not that good at math, and you're in like the average level math class, and you're getting a B, you're getting by. Maybe your friend gives you the test, gives you the play sheet. I mean the answers beforehand, and you can skate by in that math class. And your teacher thinks like, oh, he's got so much potential. Let's throw him into AP Calc.
Oh,
if you're talking about high school, it's like. That could be a disaster because he's never done that kind of math before. Sure, he's good at this level, but and with such a small sample size, like just the way you're describing him, like this dude can catch on fire, like and burn down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's just that's the gamble of it. Just because you say you can, doesn't mean you can.
It's true.
So and especially after the championship game, I'm like. This guy's a top 10 pick. I somewhere on my Twitter I probably said it, but like it's such a gamble, and like it almost scares me. I feel like if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm almost like this better work.
Yeah.
Or it's toast.
That's true. And I think it's gonna be really interesting. And I'm a big JJ guy. Will always root for him. Best Michigan quarterback I've ever seen. And he brought us that chip. So, JJ is that guy. And even though he's in Minnesota and I should root against him, I'm probably, sadly, there'll be a little bit of excitement if they score a touchdown. But,
No, I was teasing my brother about that. He goes to Michigan and he was like he was so upset that he had to go to a division rival.
Exactly.
He's like, I can't cheer for this kid now.
No, it's tough. It'll definitely be a tough situation. But, the Lions... the Lions shouldn't be too worried about the Vikings. I think the Vikings will be a very solid team. I am a little worried about like how that old line's going to hold up this year because, I mean, I heard some people say that it was like a good old line. People forget that like Kirk Cousins was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the NFL last year, and Kirk Cousins really made that team work.
Yeah.
And how talented they were. So I am a little nervous, like there to see. There was some O-line injuries, so hopefully it's a little better for JJ. But we'll see how that works. So I'm excited there. All right, let's move into Michael Penix. Okay, this is the craziest pick of the draft, number 8 overall. And of course it was the Falcons. All right.
I don't know what to do.
so I was talking to my brother, like we were watching the draft together. And even before the draft, I was like, it would be crazy if the Falcons just like the Falcons might just go insane and pick offense here because everybody's expecting them to pick edge and like do all of this. And I'm just like, compared to what we've seen from the Falcons from the last drafts, like they were like, oh, we have 2 running backs this year. Let's pick a running back, Bijan Robinson. Oh, I mean, Kyle Pitts would be perfect here. Let's pick Kyle Pitts. Oh, we have a few receivers. Why not pick Drake London here with our top 10 pick? So I shouldn't be surprised.
You should.
But I mean, like, unbelievable them picking Penix. So talk to me about your reaction to this.
Everyone's talked about it, and like and just because I've been hearing so much about it doesn't make it untrue. You didn't need him.
Yep.
And and I'm starting to like, I can see in their distorted version of reality how it was a good pick, how it's future proofing, and how they're setting themselves up for success for long term. But let me tell you something. You could have had that long-term success and also helped your defense.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you don't know if you're like the coach and GM, you don't even know if you're going to be on the job by the time you get to see this thing pan out. For a quarterback that, is of an older age, and it's like I kind of hinted at it with the McCarthy topic, but like you get a quarterback that has done it and has proved it against great teams in college, slinging the ball, supreme accuracy, and like you hear all about like the long ball that he's got. But he gets to go to a place where he's basically like not allowed to play for at least 2 years, and he's not going to play until he's like 40.
Yep.
In an offense that's like in and of itself run heavy, where I almost feel like him and McCarthy should have been swapped in terms of where to go.
Yeah.
Because you just talk about McCarthy plays and could be like a Kirk Cousins. Well, he could have played underneath, or like he could have learned underneath Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
And the guy who's been throwing in such a pass-heavy offense in Washington could have gone to the Vikings, who have weapons to do it. And it's just, to me, it's such an injustice, and I feel terrible for the kid that he's got to go through this. And for the philosophy of like the long-term success, like, dude, it's not, the opportunity cost is nowhere close to being there, to being worth it for you as the Falcons. So like it doesn't make sense. It won't make sense. If Cousins like doesn't come back from his Achilles as well, then you look like a genius. You still cost yourself a lot of defensive improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, a division that you can win easily.
100%. Like this pick was crazy. It was just flat out crazy. I mean, I really don't know how to react to it almost.
Right.
Because like it's just like
it leaves you speechless.
It leaves you speechless because Penix is gonna sit. He's already 24 years old. And when he's able to get back in to starting, he's probably like 28, right? How much development can you really do with him? He's already got the accuracy. He can move around a little bit. The reason why I had a second-round grade on him and Bo Nix, which we'll get to Bo Nix, but the reason why I had a second-round grade is because the injury stuff, it's the same. It's the same. It's my same concern with Daniels, although Daniels is an unbelievable prospect, and I still had him super high where he should have been. But it's the same thing. Like, he's got injury problems. He does. And it sucks. That's why you don't swing at it with a top 10 pick. And that's the one thing I'm really concerned about. And, it won't be a problem there, but you heard Kirk Cousins was shocked by the pick.
Right.
It's like you expect them to build a defense because we saw it with their team last year. they should have been the playoff team out of that division.
Yes.
You should have been the Buccaneers and beaten the Eagles in the first round, and then possibly
which was free money. Anyone could have beaten them.
and then possibly play a close game with the Lions and make the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
You know, because the Falcons were a tougher game than the Bucs probably would have been for the Lions. You know, so this Falcons pick is just so shocking to me, and it's shocking too because their new coach Raheem Morris is such a defensive mind.
Yeah.
You would have expected him to go with Dallas Turner right there, or a Latu. Definitely said his name wrong, but whatever.
So he's got two first names.
But I mean, like, if you're the Falcons, man, it's just shocking. Makes no sense, and it doesn't make sense because Kirk is older. You just signed him for $100 million, and you'd rather build your team, and this just didn't build the team at all. And I feel like it's just disappointing if you're Kirk Cousins. It's disappointing if you're even the young guys like Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. They want to win now.
Yeah.
You know? That's insane.
Yeah, I feel like they just like it's just so like blatant to me. They should have just picked JJ.
Yep.
He's like what 3 years younger. Like he's just like
Exactly.
He just
If you're
turned
gonna go
21.
that route, pick JJ.
Yeah.
But I mean, the route you should go is Dallas Turner. It's just the route you should because you need an edge. You're not doing well there. You might as well add to your defense. That was the only reason that you didn't make the playoffs the year before. And you know, look to the now because you have a good enough team to win in the NFC South now. You know, Baker just got his money. He might not be as good next year. The Bucs defense is getting older and older. They might not be as good. They lost a lot. Devin White left. You know, Carlton Davis went to the Lions. They're losing a lot of pieces there. The Saints aren't getting much better. I don't know what they did. Like, I mean, who's their quarterback? Derek Carr. Like, you're chilling. You know, with all that being said, like you're that team. And then the other team I didn't even talk about is the Panthers.
Right.
Which I don't know what they're doing.
They're giving out free money. That's
exactly.
what they're doing.
They're giving out free money.
They're giving out $47 or 47-cent tickets.
Exactly. Like this is your time to win now. So it doesn't make sense to me to look at the future like that. And
it's like it's not even like it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive to win now or then.
Yep.
You can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And figure out the quarterback situation later if Cousins happens to go out. Because 2 years, you're going to see another generational prospect. And you can, you know, if you still stink, you can go up and get it again. But like, it's just, it doesn't make sense. You could sign, seal, and deliver the division now.
So true.
But they decided against it.
So true.
With the wrong quarterback. Like, it does.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Moving into other quarterback moves that make no sense. Bo Nix, number 12 to the Denver Broncos. Talk to me about your reaction to this one.
Well, I mean, like I heard a little bit about like this being the case and about like, you know, Sean Payton needs his quarterback, not team 3. He needs a quarterback that he picks, that he likes, and that he can work with. And really, when you look at his coaching career, I mean, when you go to the Saints, all he had was Drew Brees. So, like, in a way, for him, you know, now with a new team, like, that's kind of all he knows. So instead of like, you know, teaching an old dog new tricks, just give the old dog his favorite toy in a quarterback with that kind of style. And Nix has at least has a lot of experience and, you know, has proven to be able to perform, you know, in volume at least. So, and, you know, for the Broncos, it was more of, I feel like it was more a necessity pick as well. Cause I couldn't even name you any other quarterbacks that they have on their roster. So they just needed to do it, and that seemed to be all that was left. So like, I wasn't as shocked with it, just because like you can't throw your hands up, like they need one.
Yeah, with this pick and like as you could tell by the tone of the question, I wasn't really like into this pick, and that's just because I had a second round grade on him, and every other NFL GM had a second round grade on him except the Broncos. And you're looking at this, and you're like, all right, well, Sean Payton apparently made Drew Brees, and everybody's like comparing Bo Nix to Drew Brees, and you're like, okay, let's trust Sean Payton and do this. Sean Payton didn't make Drew Brees. Okay, Drew Brees, it's that guy.
He was awesome.
Okay, he was that guy. He was really good on the Chargers. He got better on the Saints, so Sean Payton definitely helped him, and he definitely did some stuff that was really, really good. But Bo Nix here, he's an older quarterback. Again, it's going to take a little time. They don't have the greatest O-line. Like, you're gonna throw him in as a rookie, and everything's gonna be way faster than normal, and you're gonna see the Bo Nix that you saw at Auburn. That wasn't good. His film was horrible, and like I listen to Todd McShay a lot, and he talks about like the film of quarterbacks, and he's like trying to throw out the Auburn film and like just delete it from your brain is so hard with Bo Nix because it was not good. Like it was so hard to just forget that and just look at the Oregon film because the Oregon film's good. Like it's good film. He's a very solid second round quarterback, and that's why I have him as a second round quarterback. I just don't like that you're putting him in now, and that big transition, it's huge for everybody, and it's going to be way faster. So I feel like Nix will get into some bad habits and it'll be tough. And then you'll see the Denver fans like who are just dying to see wins and dying to see Sean Payton work. They're going to start blaming Sean Payton and they're going to start blaming Bo Nix. And I just don't know how mentally tough he'll be to be able to handle that. And that's what concerns me there.
Definitely. And when in looking at it, because I'm looking through the board now, he was the last one, like I was mentioning, he was the last one available. So, but like, I mean, with some of the crazy stuff that you've seen, like, for like the Penix pick, for example, like, did you know for sure that the Raiders weren't going to take Bo Nix, with their first round pick? Because they're in kind of like a weird ground where they could use some new talent. Like, I don't know how if Aiden O'Connell is like, a superstar or anything, but like they could have potentially upgraded at quarterback as well. But like other than that, looking through like going down the list here, then if that concern wasn't there, you absolutely probably could have gotten him in the second round. But like you just, for as quarterback needy of a team as they are, you just have to take it. You almost like have to like kind of bite your fist and just do it.
Yeah.
So it could have just been a case where they just kind of got screwed into it.
That's true. I mean, from what I heard, like Sean Payton absolutely loved this guy and was all in on picking him 12. To me, it's just a little too early, and I get what you're saying with Vegas. Vegas would probably be the only team I'd be concerned about, picking him there. But like I just don't know. Like if you're that concerned about it, why don't you trade with Vegas? And I mean, like I don't know. Like I just don't know if it was the smartest decision there.
Right.
And yeah, it's just not something I would have done. Just I was lower on Nix and Penix than clearly the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they work out. And I'm rooting for Penix and sort of Nix. I'm not the biggest Sean Payton guy anymore, but like I'm rooting for them to succeed and stuff. They're just in tough situations. And
definitely, you make it all this way. You work all this. You work so hard to get to the draft, and it's like, okay, that see ya. It's almost like a goodbye. Where for a lot of other quarterbacks, especially those that were taken higher, it's a new beginning for some, and it's a shame to see the result of that for some of the other quarterbacks.
So true. All right, we're gonna zoom through a couple.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do like minute takes. We'll go back and forth and talk about it. So let's start with Giants Malik Neighbors at 6. So talk to me about initial reaction.
Yeah, there's nothing that was going to fix the Giants in one pick. So, and a lot of people were thinking that was going to be a spot for JJ. But for me, like, I was kind of like, I was expecting JJ, and I was like, oh, okay. But backing up and kind of looking at kind of their options available, like, some people had Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors, like, neck and neck. 1A, 1B. So you either had a choice of, like, the 5th best quarterback, or you could have had the best receiver in the draft. And then maybe next year you might still suck and have an opportunity to get another, one of the greatest prospects we've ever seen, because they pop up every year.
Shedeur Sanders,
sure. He would do great in New York, yeah. But you get the best value out of that pick by taking that number one receiver, and stink next year and do it again.
Yeah, no, I've said my spiel on Neighbors. I think he's great. And it was kind of clear that if the Giants were going to go quarterback, they're going to pick him. So, it makes sense there with Neighbors. 5, Joe Alt. Talk to me about that with the Chargers.
That's a hardball team, and it's something that they did end up taking some receivers later in the rounds.
Yes,
but like
Lad McConkey was one of them.
Yeah,
which I loved. Great pick there.
Yeah, but for you get Harbaugh in, like you almost knew right away that it was going to be Joe Alt.
Yeah.
People were on crack saying that he was going to pick JJ, which would have been hilarious.
That would have been crazy.
He did end up taking 3 Wolverines, which was dude just can't help himself.
Yep.
But it's what you need, and especially to like I don't want to say like revive Herbert, but like you do kind of have to revive him out of purgatory, we'll call it.
Yeah.
To get the like old Matthew Stafford notion off of him. Take it easy with him. Get him some space. Get him somebody that is dude is giant. Dude, it's like enormous. But get him some protection. Get a running game going. They had none of it.
Yeah.
When they had Austin Eckler there.
So true.
Not his fault, but like he was a passing option, not a running option. So this allows them to kind of get to the more like I would say consistent offensive line running style that you can then use your superstar quarterback to feed off of.
Yeah, I mean, we know what Harbaugh brings. He brings that running style, that physical mentality. And I talked about it with Golke, like on the NFL free agency podcast. We were like, yeah, the Chargers are going to pick O-line. Like, it was just clear. And for me, it was the question, Latham or Alt.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of things going like, oh, he likes Latham more, he's a SEC guy, he's just big, he's a monster. And Alt was, I mean, it wasn't like the clear choice in the Chargers' eyes, but like he's the best tackle prospect we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So he's that guy, and I think it was pretty clear that the Chargers would go with him. And they're trying to build that running style. Like, I was kind of shocked they didn't go get Corum,
Right. He went to LA, but
exactly. So, it'll be interesting for sure with the Chargers.
Yeah, and you're almost never get criticism for picking a top a top O lineman like that. Like
exactly.
If nothing else, just pick a lineman, and it will always help. Eventually.
It'll always help, 100%. So, I wanted to talk about Bowers to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that one. Your reaction there.
Back-to-back top 10, or I forget like where Michael Myers went before, or Mayer. Did I just say the Halloween character? Anyway, to do tight ends like that back-to-back, it's weird, but like it's not impossible to see 2 tight end setups, and it's not unheard of. It's on to a certain degree pretty common in the NFL now, but like. You look at their team and like it's such like Vegas is in such like a purgatory, like a weird space with some of the highest end talent at certain positions, but like there's no foundation to it. It feels like, and it's just kind of like picking shiny new toys here and there and relying on that like top end skill position talent.
So true. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like what we were talking about with the Bears, where like you have all that talent, but like it might not even mean anything without a foundation, meaning the O-line.
Yeah.
So, but like he's a freak talent, and he, maybe you could call him a little bit undersized for the position, but like the dude's dope.
Yeah.
And it could help. It could definitely help out, but it's like, maybe it was a situation where like best available player kind of thing, and you just leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of think it was a best available player type thing, and. We'll see how it works. I thought Meyer was a great pick for them last year, and Bowers is just a better version prospect of him.
And they're different styles too.
Yeah.
So it could be you give variety even within that.
100%. I think you're right in thinking that Vegas like really wanted a quarterback, and Penix going early kind of like ruined their plans.
Yeah,
I think
definitely. Yeah.
So having that like and picking Meyer, I think it's solid, but I don't know. Like I kind of feel bad for Bowers in that sense.
No, because he's not going to shine on the Raiders. Like, just with
and you
their
can tell by
situation.
his reaction, like he was a little confused. He was like, "Really, like Vegas?" You know? Like and I don't really blame him there. Like I thought it was just a little bit of a weird pick.
Yeah, and it's like it's not much to chew on for that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, last one. Let's talk about the Bills and Chiefs receiver trade later in the draft. So the Chiefs traded up and drafted Xavier Worthy, and then the Bills traded back with the Chiefs and got Keon Coleman. So talk to me about your reaction to these 2 receivers going to the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, and at first your immediate reaction is like, why would they even do business with each other? You should hang up the phone if it's got a Kansas City area code, but like. We've seen locally with Brad Holmes trading, on numerous occasions with in-division rival the Vikings.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta absolutely be careful with it. But if you're in that position and like you think you can get a little more value by going down, and maybe they weren't even going to pick Xavier Worthy anyway. So it's like it's not a loss for them. So it's like, okay, let's kind of gather a little bit here, and we'll still get, maybe they had Keon Coleman like as their plan to begin with. So I didn't think it was too bad. Keon Coleman is a pretty good receiver himself, so not a bad pick at all. But it's just like it's an awkward transaction. But ultimately, I didn't think it was too terrible. And even if Xavier Worthy burns them in the playoffs, like what is that the first time it's happened against the Bills?
Yeah.
Like you gotta try things at this point.
It's so true. I mean, these are two guys that fit in both places that they were traded to.
Yeah.
Worthy going to the Chiefs, that's great fit because they need guys that can catch the ball.
Yes.
And speed.
Yeah.
They,
and no team, no speed, or maybe the Dolphins, but like other than that, the Chiefs are the place for speed.
The Chiefs are the place for speed, and Mahomes loves those guys that can be a deep threat.
Yeah.
And Worthy will definitely be able to be a deep threat. And even with the Rashee Rice situation going on, whatever, with conviction or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like they're going to need somebody to replace those targets if he's not going to be available. So, he'll be a guy that will be huge for that aspect. And then looking at the Bills, you just lost Stephon Diggs. You traded him. So adding receiver depth and adding those guys that will be able to catch the ball from Josh Allen is going to be absolutely huge. And Keon Coleman has a similar game to Stephon Diggs. He's very athletic. I mean, one of the most ridiculous athletes I've ever seen. Like some of the catches he made out of Florida State, just unbelievable. And it's kind of weird that he was like the 6th or 7th receiver taken in this draft, but that just shows you how stacked the receiver class was.
Definitely, yeah. And I recall specifically the Michigan State game that was like the previous season. There was one drive, and like I don't know why they didn't. Maybe there was adjustments that kept him from doing it, but like 25 yards, Keon Coleman, 23 yards, Keon Coleman, touchdown. Like the whole drive was just him. Yeah. And I'm like, this dude like could make this game interesting. And they stopped throwing it to him and whatever. But like I did like a name that I could consistently recognize, and like that is a very good threat for Josh Allen, and finally he's gonna losing Davis and Diggs, like okay, you got something now.
Exactly,
you got something.
Exactly, it's so true. It's so true. Well, Giovanni, this has been a lot of fun, man. This is awesome.
I love talking NFL with you, dude. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, this is our second year talking NFL. I mean, we did our NFL preview. We did the Super Bowl preview. So we did NFL Week 1, and the Super Bowl preview, and then the draft stuff. So this is our second year doing it, and this has been a boatload of fun.
It's been a boatload of fun, and I feel old, but
I know, it's crazy.
It's like I'm not even in college anymore. I'm talking to this weird college kid.
It's absolutely crazy. But I mean, I appreciate you coming on. It's always fun having you on here in the draft stuff. And it was cool that we got to see each other at the draft.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. So thank you so much to Giovanni. And that's going to wrap up the show for today. Thank you guys so much for watching on YouTube. If you're not already, go subscribe to the show. It really helps us out. I appreciate it. And that's going to wrap up the show for today. I will see you guys next time. Peace.